Last night I finished Poison Study by Maria V. Schneider, or Snyder, however you want to pronounce that. I really liked this book. I thought it was a really good one. So, some background. So, in this world, there used to be a king and all his little subjects, and he was taken out by basically the military. So the commander is over all the generals. They now have military districts. This is the country of Ixia. There is another country south of them called Sitia. Um, they come into play in the story, but they're not. Right now, we're not in that country at all. So I don't know how much background you need, but that's kind of the setting that we're at. Main character is Yelena. She has been my hair is crazy today, sorry. She has been in prison for the past year because she murdered the general's son in the district that she was in. General Brazier's son, Ryad. So she was first in their dungeon, and now she is in the commander's dungeon, which is basically like the capital city. He is the commander over all the generals. So she gets prepped for execution, and she gets taken to Valek, who is the master assassin, the poison expert, the commander's right-hand man, if you will. And so she gets taken to him, sitting across the desk from him, and he basically gives her a choice. You can either face the noose and be executed, for sure, or you can become the food taster and take your chances. I will train you to become a food taster so that you know what the poisons taste like, or what food tastes like with poison, and how to taste food so that you make sure that you're not tasting a part that's not poisoned. So anyway, she chooses to become the food taster for the commander, and Valek trains her. And at the time that she is training, she is basically allowed into the servants' quarters. So she has a room there, and the generals are visiting the commander for some summit or whatever that they're having. So General Brazel is in the castle. I think that's his name. Like I said, sometimes I forget their names. And his soldiers are they're trying to find her. They're trying to capture her, or maybe even kill her for the general, because she killed his son, and they're all really mad at her. Throughout all this, she's hinting that there was good reason to kill the son, which we come to. So her story is that she was an orphan in General Brazel's district. His right-hand man, if you will, Mogken, just kept finding orphans and bringing them to General Brazel. And then at the age of 16, they would take these children and they would train them for their special calling, I guess you could call it. Basically, they would end up torturing them, abusing them, using them for their own sick desires. She was given to Ryad to do with as he pleased, because she was being really defiant against the general, Brazel. And so Ryad decided he would torture her by beating her. And the last thing he ever did was raped her and beat her, and he was going to do it again when she eventually slit his throat at that time. So she's in the castle trying to avoid the General Brazel's soldiers, and hiding from them, running away. Velek finds out that she's being pursued by them. Um, and it gets brought up to the commander because she's his taste tester. And she's not able to taste his food for him if she's being pursued by these soldiers who are intent to harm her. So Valak ends up putting her in a room off of his suite. And there's an age gap there. I don't know how much it is, though. I picture Yelena is probably about 18 years old. Valak, I imagine he's maybe early 30s, maybe late 30s. So at first I was picturing this as kind of like, I don't know, like Professor Snape and Ginny Weasley type relationship. I was like, this is a weird relationship. But I feel like it gets better because you don't really know how much of an age gap is between them. And it seems to work. The relationship was an interesting one. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she falls under Valek's protection. And eventually the summit ends and the generals go home. So Brazel leaves the castle. He leaves with a sampling of this dessert that's kind of described like a fudge or a brownie. And it's called Criollo. And of course she goes to taste it and it's just delicious. Like, I'm picturing kind of a hazelnut type chocolate dessert. And she says it's delicious. Valek is suspicious because Brazil keeps sending them to the commander, and the commander seems to be changing his mind on a lot of different things. Anyway, so she's allowed to go to the fire festival, which seems like it has to do with the beginning of summer. She's allowed to go to that with some friends that she made in the kitchen. And she nearly gets... We think she almost got killed. The reader thinks she almost gets killed by a totally different delegation, a delegation from Cydia, actually. So Valek comes to rescue her. And then he says that his plan is to have her used as the fugitive training for the commander's soldiers. So she is supposed to go out like about an hour or two ahead of the soldiers and basically act like a fugitive. She's supposed to hide. And if she wins, they agreed to pay her some money so that she could spend some stuff. So she used her acrobatic skills that she practiced when she was a child at the orphanage, and she hid in the trees, and she comes in contact with the Cydia head of the delegation, who ends up being a magician, pretty strong magician, so she can get into her head and like call her to her, and that's basically what she did. So she reveals, her name is Iris. She reveals that Yelena is a magician, a strong one, and that she needs to be trained or she is going to burn out and create mayhem, basically. Now, in Ixia, it is forbidden to be a magician because magicians are what caused the havoc, basically, in the kingdom before it became a military district. So she suggests that Yelena comes with her to Cydia to be trained, and Yelena says no, but she doesn't tell Valek any of this because she doesn't trust Valek yet. She just says that she was trying to kidnap her again. And then they see, after Iris leaves, they see this caravan going in the direction of General Brazil's new plant that he was able to get through agreement of leaving Yelena alone while he was there in the castle. And they take some of the beans that are from that caravan, and Valek goes to follow it and tells Yelena to meet up with the soldiers that were following him so that she could be taken back to the castle. And she does, and she becomes friends with them. Their names are Janko and Ari. The friendship really forms when she basically stood up for them in front of the captain. So the captain was kind of criticizing a lot of his soldiers for not being able to find her because she hid in the trees. They didn't know that. But Ari and Janko they came the closest to her, and she spoke up and said that they did. So they were grateful for her for that. And I'm not going to say indebted because they weren't really indebted to her. She's a criminal. She's on death row. So it ends up that she asked them to train her in fighting and defending herself, and they agree. And Valak thinks it's a good idea. So they end up training her, and they end up recruiting another soldier, female soldier, to help them learn how to use the bow staff in their fighting. So that's going on too. Meanwhile, the commander has tasked Yelena with finding out more about these beans that they discovered coming from Sidia going to Brazil's district. She's trying to find something out about them. She can't. And what it comes down to is basically the commander changes his successor. And people don't know who the successor is. The commander does. Nobody else. Not even the generals. Because he gives the successor like these little envelopes with a puzzle in it. And Valak has the key to the puzzle, and that's how they find out whether or not they're the successor or not. Well, he changed it, and Valak's starting to get suspicious that there's something in the Creole that's causing the commander to be compromised. So there's another general meeting, another general summit, where the generals come, and she goes in to taste. I'm reviewing my book, Poison Study. Review? Yeah, book review. She's helping me. Too? Yeah, she's helping.
I just want to go out the window.
So she goes in there to go taste the commander's food, and what's his name? Riley's got practice at 5.
Yeah, I'll take it over.
It's just shells.
5 to 6 or 5 to 7?
5 to 6:30, weather pending.
Oh, okay. Nice little kid.
She walks in on Mogden. What is his name?
Yeah,
it's hard to pronounce. He's kind of seizing control of the commander's mind, but they pass it off as that's not what's going on. But that is what's going on. You're distracting me. Do you have a reason?
What?
For being in here?
Just coming in.
Besides distracting me?
No, not now.
Not now.
I was just coming in to see what was going on. No one was out in the living room, so wonder where everybody was at.
Well, I don't know where Bradley's at then.
They were both in there.
Oh, okay. So, anyway. Yeah. So it comes down to the commander decides he needs to go tour the new factory that Brazil has. So they start heading that way. And Valak has been commanded to stay behind. But Yelena has been commanded to go with him back into dangerous territory. Valak doesn't listen. He comes because he's a master assassin and sneak. So he comes basically disguised as a soldier, follows them there to the factory. She gets at first put into a tiny little room guarded by Brazil's soldiers and only allowed out to taste the commander's food. So they're putting on a show. But she escapes from there eventually and goes running out to the woods to the place where she buried the amulet that she had won during one of her acrobats during a fire festival. She buried it so that Ryad wouldn't take it from her or steal it from her. So she's out there in this open field and she comes across Iris again, who is once again trying to convince her to come with her and says that she felt that there was magic coming from this area. It's Makin, or whatever his name is. So they discuss a plan, because she's like, I have to go back. I have to figure out what's going on here. And Iris takes off. She goes looking for the fire amulet and adds it to her necklace that Valak gave her, because apparently they're now in love. It's almost a slow burn relationship, but you see it coming. You're suspicious that it's coming, but it's a weird relationship. So her and Valak go back to the castle because they need to find out where Mogkin is getting all of his extra power. Is he taking it from other people, or is he using like a huge diamond source for all his extra power? They don't know, but they're going to go find out. So they go onto Ryad's wing of the castle, and they find a room full of orphans who had supposedly been working in other areas of the district. But no, they had been basically drained of their magic by Mogkin. They find him, but they find that room, but then Mogkin finds them and throws them in the dungeon. One of the ways that Valak kept the food taster under his control was by telling them that he poisoned them with butterfly dust. And the only way that they could survive it was if they come get the antidote from him the next morning. And so they decided, Brissel and Mogkin decided that Yelena was going to die just by not getting the antidote to the butterfly's butterfly dust. So they leave, anticipating her painful death, and Valak tells her that there is no such thing as butterfly's dust. The pain that she's going to go through is actually from the antidote. That doesn't cause any issues as long as they keep taking it. But if they don't, it causes severe stomach cramping, and basically they're going to wish they were dead. But so she's not going to die. She doesn't die. But she does play dead. When the soldiers come in, they go to take her out. But then she hooks her arm around Valak's cage, and they go to unhook her, but then she starts fighting back as Valak starts attacking the soldier that got too close to his cage, and he gets the keys. So they get out, they escape again, and Yelena tells everything to Valak, finally, including what happened to her that caused her to murder Ryad. Sometimes I feel like I don't do these things justice. So basically a huge fight ensues. The commander is basically in a catatonic state, locked deep within his mind because Mogkin has control. They get to a point where Brissel gets knocked out, Mogkin tries to escape, then Valak goes after him. Because Valak doesn't have a special power, but he is immune to magic. But it does slow him down, so he feels like he's fighting through like molasses or whatnot when he's up against a magician. So he's fighting Mogkin after fighting multiple soldiers. She comes in and basically helps him, and Mogkin ends up dying. Iris, Janko, and Ari are with the catatonic orphans, and they were fighting soldiers to get to them. Janko ends up becoming mortally wounded. So she and Valek rush to find the medic. They go get the medic to go help Janko. Iris is trying to repair the damage that has been done to the orphans, but she can't. Or at least not that we know of yet by the end of this book. So Janko ends up being okay. They end up helping out the other orphans that were not being tested at the time, so they were in complete control of their faculties. She ends up being able to access the commander's mind, because earlier in the book, when she walked in on Makin, Brazel, and the commander during that one time when they were at the commander's place, she kind of got into the commander's mind a little bit through Makin, and saw that the commander is actually a woman who destroyed like a snow leopard or whatnot that plagued that area, that military district that they were in. And the commander felt like they proved themselves a man that they really felt like. Anyway, so she goes, hello. So she goes deep diving into the commander's mind and is able to bring the commander back to himself. What? So she saves the commander's life. However, she is a magician. That is revealed now. And the commander it's his law to put all magicians to death that are not invited, like the Scythians. She just needs so much scratches. Butt pats. So he commands her death. Valek refuses to take the missive, saying that if he takes it, he'll have to obey it, and he does not want to obey it. And he says, what if I give a verbal order? He says, then I'll have to obey it, but it is the last thing I will do for you, because this is the woman I love. Whatnot. So the commander gives them her a grace period. He basically says, well, you have an order out for an execution for your death, Yelena. This order will be in effect as soon as I can find somebody to carry out the order, and it's only in Ixia. So basically saying you have a few days to get out of Ixia and get to Cydia and be trained and whatnot. So Iris takes Yelena and all the orphans that were in their right minds, and she takes them to Cydia at the end. Valek stays in Ixia because Valek is sworn to the commander. Yelena is keeping the commander's secret. Brazil tries to undermine the commander by saying that he is a she, and everybody laughs at him because at this point, what does it matter? And number two, that's just nonsense to everybody. Yelena knows the truth, but it doesn't matter because commander swore to secrecy. So, yeah, that's Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder.